Welcome to the Love Lessons podcast, where we talk about love and relationships, where we talk about what we've learned and how we've grown. Thank you for joining me. If you don't know me, I'm Detra D. Hester, a certified life coach, wife, mother, teacher, author, and mentor. Thanks again for tuning in. The moment you've been waiting for, let's get into this topic today. The topic is how to know when you're ready for real love. I'm talking about real love that lasts for a lifetime. I'm talking about that forever kind of love. I'm talking about you're always in my heart kind of love. I'm talking about the love of your dreams with the man of your dreams, with the woman of your dreams. That's the kind of love that I'm talking about. In order to know that you're truly ready for this, you really got to be real with yourself. So I'm going to talk about some things that you can do and things that you can think about to know if you're really ready. I would say over, it was like really nearly 15 years. I'm struggling with figuring it out because I spent really half my life with my ex-husband, and then I spent a portion of time being single. And then now I'm remarried, and I really had a lot of time to reflect on some when I was ready, when I really wasn't, and I was pretending, all of that. So I am sharing my experiences with you. Also, I've spent the last year talking to mostly men, but I've also talked to females, just kind of researching the issues of love and relationships. And I also, in one of my graduate studies program, I studied romantic relationships. So for my teens that listen, or for my young adults that listen, I did actually do a thesis on romantic relationships, and I am a life coach, so I study this. This is one of my favorite topics, how to know when you're really ready for love, because I feel like a lot of times we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out, are we really ready? Are we really ready for the love that we've been thinking about since as long as we can remember? So me personally, I was not the person that dreamed of getting married. I was the person that dreamed of love. So I was a person, even at 9 years old, I'm sitting here writing love songs, writing about heartbreak. Didn't know anything about heartbreak, didn't know anything about love, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm writing about at 9 years old. So I didn't really know about anything to do with the white wedding dress. I didn't really know about having the ceremonies and what it meant and all of that, but I did know about love. So that's what I want to focus on, is how to know when you're ready for real love. It reminds me of a song. Want to hear it? I'm not about to do that, but real love, it reminds me of the thing that we're all searching for, the thing that we're all hoping for, and a lot of us don't get it. And when we don't get it, we are devastated, we are hurt, and we settle for the next best thing, or settle for whatever is available at the time. And we really all have to stop doing that. But there's so many reasons that we do. But I'm going to make it really simple for you today. I'm going to talk about 3 F's for women when it comes to if you're really ready. And I'm also going to hit men. So not sure how many men listen to this, but I am going to give men 3 M's that you're really ready for a real relationship full of real love. Because, and not that fake stuff, and not that stuff that you just gonna post your pictures and you just gonna tell your friends you in a relationship and tell your mama and them that you might have found the one. Not that. I'm talking about when you're really ready for real love. So the 3 F's for women, first and foremost, is faith. I am definitely a spiritual person, but I don't like to get into all the different religions and all of that. Faith is the hope that you have in your heart for the thing that you believe. You have to have faith in order for you to experience real love. In order for you to really believe that you can have the love that you've always hoped for, you have to have your heart open for that. So if you have been broken, if your heart has been broken, let me make sure that I'm clear. If your heart has been broken, if you feel like you have been through it and then some, you might not be ready for real love, because you have to have faith in order to have real love. You cannot be cynical, thinking that all men are dogs, or thinking that, oh, that's just what men do. They just, they reel you in, and then, they play games. If you're thinking that way, if you're trying to protect yourself and you are trying to make sure that you are always on top, things like that, you are not really ready for real love. If you are basically trying to manipulate the situation to where you have the most power and you have the most control, then you are not ready for real love. Now, as far as getting in those games, absolutely. As far as can you get a date? Absolutely. Can you get a man? Absolutely. But will you experience real love with that man? Probably not. You may experience lust. You may experience a good time. You may experience something that resembles love. But in order to experience real love, you really have to let your guard down. And in order to let your guard down, you really will have to have faith. You have to have faith in a higher power greater than yourself, that someone will love you with their heart, and that you will love them with all of your heart. Like, you have to believe that that person is going to love you, or you have to be so open that you don't even care if they love you back. You just want to offer your love to that person. So you're not really as concerned about getting hurt. So I will tell you straight up, if you are concerned that you are going to be hurt, then that you're not ready. So moving on, and I'm trying to really condense this. So for the men, I'm going to speed it up. So moving on to ladies, you got to have faith. You got to be open. And then you also need to be within your femininity. And I don't mean that you can't love someone just because you are not as feminine as you would want to be. I'm not saying that you cannot love someone, but I will say to attract a certain type of man, especially if you're wanting a man that is a provider, one that's going to take care of your heart first and foremost, and anything that you need, then you do need to tap into your femininity. I think I need to do an entire podcast really about what I mean by tapping into your feminine energy and tapping into the soft spaces within your heart, because again, I talked about this when I talked about faith. If you got your guard up and you feel like I will let somebody, I will tell somebody a few things about themselves and I'm 2 seconds off, yo. So if you are experiencing those kind of thoughts and that type of energy, then you're really not ready, because you really have to rest in your femininity in regards to how you speak to a man, how you move, how your mannerisms, the things that you do. If you are still in a space where you're defensive and you are not soft and delicate and gentle and things like that, you do not bring to the table something that a man would need to protect. Basically, if you're bringing masculine energy, what is it that he would bring? He would bring feminine energy. So he would be the person that's a little more sensitive and things like that. And I'm not saying that it cannot work, but for those ladies that really believe in more of a traditional type of relationship, then you definitely want to tap into your femininity. So if you're one that you really want somebody to take care of you, you really want somebody to cover you and protect you and be there for you and things like that, then you really have to change your energy. If you've noticed that you will pop off like at the smallest thing, or you notice that you're always quick to think the negative on things, or you notice that it's hard for you to prepare for like date night and things like that. It's hard for you to put yourself together and put a lot of energy into your appearance, because that is really a part of femininity, is that you like to look good. You like to look like a lady, and it does take some effort. But we can get into that, and those of you that's more interested in that, then definitely hit me up on social media at moreandyoucoach, or you can email me at moreandyoucoaching@gmail.com for more information on that, or if you just want to request for me to talk more about femininity. The last thing, because a lot of you is like, well, you ain't got to tell me nothing. I know I got it going on. I know that I look good. I know that I'm feminine. I know that I have it going on. I also am not a bitter woman. I'm not a bitter woman. I'm that woman that it believes that there are good men out there. So if you are all of that, go ahead, girl. You do it, girl. Do it, girl. But here's the thing. If you are about your business and you about your grind and you don't have time, honey, listen, you may not be ready for real love, because real love is going to require you to focus. So that's my last F. We've got faith, we've got femininity, and we've got focus. If you are truly in love with somebody, you are going to focus on that person. Reminds me of another song. Want to hear it? It ain't about to happen. I'm gonna have to start singing to y'all, because this is really reminding me of songs. Real love is reminding me of focus on me. So I'm gonna have to start doing it for you. I'm gonna have to just let it all out, because I'm just really feeling that right now. This particular song, Can You Focus on Me? And I know I love that song because, one, when I'm in love, I do love their attention. I love the attention from the one that loves me, and the one that I love. But I also have noticed that people that are successfully in love and successfully in a relationship, they really focus on each other. And I've got to be honest with you guys. I really got a little mad about it in the past. I really have, because I was like, I lost my friends because they were so focused on the person that they were absolutely head over heels in love with. So they were so focused on that particular person that they did not have time for me. Now that I am actually experiencing real love, I've definitely experienced I would say love, but it wasn't real in the way that forever love, that I'm never going anywhere kind of love. It wasn't as intense as I'm experiencing this time around. So that's why I really didn't understand people that were like, I don't have time, because they were focusing on love. They were focusing on their relationship, and their relationship was everything to them. You don't want to get lost in it though, so you gotta be careful, but that's another podcast. But definitely have to have these 3 F's: faith, femininity, and focus. That's when you're really ready for love. So if you want to focus on your career, go ahead, sister girl, do it, girl. If you want to focus on your kids, okay, teen mom, super mom, you better do that. If you want to focus on God, Absolutely. He is the King of Kings, the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Absolutely. If you want to focus on any of those things, your family, go ahead. Your friends, school, whatever, then that's fine. But you may not be ready for real love, because real love is going to require you to put some energy into it. And if you're not ready to put that energy into it, then you may not be ready. Now, on the flip side, I'm not saying you can't have your career and you cannot have your family. I'm not saying you can't have all those other things that I'm referring to. But if that's not the area that you're willing to have some balance, like if you're not willing to have the balance, then that being said, you may not be ready for real love. Because if we're honest, there's times in our lives that where we don't have the proper balance, and we know that, and we're okay with it. I've definitely experienced it. When I was single for I would say more than half of that time that I was single, I was focusing on getting a PhD, and that was the most important thing for me. It didn't happen, but that was what I was focused on. So all that being said, and so after I stopped that journey, that's when the real love came. Because while I was in it, I did not care to put much energy into a relationship. I put a little bit into it, and I got a little bit out. So if you're not really willing to put the work in, then you're really not ready to have the relationship of your dreams. So let me get to the 3 M's, and then I'm going to move on to the story time. So thank you so much for listening and staying with me. The 3 M's for guys. So ladies, if you're looking at a guy and you like, you know what, I have my 3 F's, okay? I'm ready. I'm full of faith. I've got my feminine energy. I've tapped in, and I'm also focused, and I'm ready for this. Then when you're considering guys, this is what they want to have. The guys need to have the 3 M's. So they need to have their masculinity, because they're not going to be able to cover you. They're not going to be able to protect you. And they're not going to be able to be there for you in the way that they need to be there for you if they are not tapped into their masculinity. I'm not getting all into what that looks like today, but if you notice that a man is more feminine or he's more soft than you, then you might have a problem. But we'll have to talk about that in another podcast. Motivation too. For guys, the biggest thing is their why. So the way that they think, they're very logical creatures. So yes, they have feelings, but they're able to separate their feelings easier than females are. So that being said, if they don't have a real reason for why they want to be in a relationship, why they want to have a love in their life, real love in their life, you need to be aware. So when you're talking to this guy and he cannot tell you why he wants to be married, he cannot tell you why he wants to be in a relationship, he cannot tell you why relationships are important or love relationships are important, he can't tell you any of that, it doesn't come out in a conversation, then, and this is not even you looking thirsty, if you ask about why do you think that being in relationships are important, if you ask him why do you think that people should have love in their lives and things like that, and he can't really answer those effectively, if his answer doesn't inspire you and it make you feel like, okay, like he really knows what real love is, if he doesn't know what love is, that reminds me of another song I'm gonna have to start singing to y'all. I am going to have to start singing to my people because I keep thinking about songs. But anyway, if he does not know what real love is and he really can't articulate it, he might not be ready, sis. He just might not be ready. Another thing is the last thing. So we've got so far the 2 M's would be masculinity and motivation. So he has to have a why. And then his mind has to be in a space that he can focus. So his mindset about love and about relationships, it has to be where he feels that they are important. He feels that he is in a place in his life to where he is going to position himself to have a real relationship and put some energy into the relationship. So he has to have a mindset of someone who is really ready for love. If he does not have this mindset when it comes to relationships, when it comes to connecting with you, then he just might not be ready for love. So when you're considering being in a relationship and being in love, then consider the 3 F's and then consider the 3 M's. This is not all there is to it, but it is a great start. I wanted to take a moment to tell you how excited I am to have a podcast. I finally have a podcast, and that was because of Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. For one, it's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. So it's really easy. And on top of that, it will get your podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many more. Many that I hadn't even heard of before Anchor. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So you don't have to build up this huge audience first. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one spot. So what I need you to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started with your own podcast, because you have a purpose and you have a voice that someone's waiting to hear. It's time for story time. I have a good one for you today. I am going to tell you about how I met my husband and how we got married in less than 6 months. I am going to make this a short story, and for those of you that want to know the details, feel free to message me at moreanyoucoach on Instagram, or you can email me at moreanyoucoaching@gmail.com and ask me any detailed questions that you want to know about how this happened. So if you have been listening, then you know the 3 F's. So you know before I met him that I had the 3 F's going for me. So I had faith, I had femininity, and I had focus. So I had, if I'm really honest, I had just been heartbroken about my PhD program. Okay, so my PhD program was my previous focus, and I said to myself, okay, this PhD did not happen, and I have spent 6 long years working on that, and now it is time for me to move to the next phase of my plan, which is being in a healthy relationship. So I'm not saying perfect. I am saying healthy, loving, passionate relationship. So I definitely did not expect necessarily a miracle, but I definitely expected to be in a healthy relationship once I finished with that chapter in my life of that PhD journey. And then also, going through a divorce, I definitely did not plan on being single forever. So I honestly was considering, right before I met my husband, I was considering being with somebody that I had an off and on again relationship. I would not say that relationship was healthy. It was it wasn't as toxic as I've seen some situations, or even my first marriage, it wasn't as toxic. However, it did have its issues, and it was not a mature relationship. And it wasn't everything that I hoped for, but I was dealing with someone. He was not as masculine as I have needed. I'm not going to say that he was feminine. That is a stretch. But he was not walking in his true masculinity, not really motivated for love. He was interested but not motivated, and he definitely didn't have the mindset. So he was completely not ready. So if I knew then what I know now, then I would definitely have not given that even a second thought. But I was given that space in my brain right before I met my husband. But it was something that clicked in me and that said, you know what? He is not as masculine as I need him to be, because I need my man to lead me. And what I think right before I met my husband, we got into this quick little, it was like a spat. And I believe that male and female should have disagreements, but as far as that teasing and things like that, I'm just to a level of maturity where I'm like, that's what I can't do. That's what I'm not going to do with the love of my life. And that turned me completely off. It was just like a little spat. He was joking about it. I was taking it serious. And I was like, you know what? I don't have time for this. And for some of y'all might be like, that's petty. But for me, it was like it was something just turned completely off in me. And I think something turned off the way that it did. It's because I was really ready. So if you find yourself continuing to deal with the same person that is not ready, it's because you're not ready. Because when you're really ready, you're like, goodbye, I'm moving on. So at that time, I just said goodbye, I'm moving on. I I am telling you the God's honest truth when I tell you that not even a week later, I end up interacting with my husband on social media. I was researching for love lessons. I know some people didn't realize what I was doing, because I would put up these crazy posts and they would seem like they were kind of the battle of the sexes kind of post, but I really was interested in what other people had to say. So I had posted something about Fantasia being on the Breakfast Club, and her talking about the reason why women are single is because they don't know how to be submissive. And I think I have to go back and listen to it, but from my memory, I believe that she said black women. So if you didn't know, I am a black woman. So I'm like, no, she didn't. So I'm kind of pissed about it, because I'm like, that is not the main reason why so many women are single. There's so many reasons why. So for her to say that was definitely offensive to me. And even though I'm married now, I still don't believe it's true. I do believe it's an area of development for women, absolutely, but I don't think that that's the main reason why women are single. And I don't think that that is the main area of development. So I disagreed. But there was so many people on social media. Some of them agreed, and some of them disagreed. But I was there for it. Okay, so that being said, we're on social media. We're going back and forth. So we really agreed. Mostly we agreed, but we were having like a debate, and he was like causing me to think from a different point of view. So he was raising awareness, which caught my attention. So that's why I actually messaged him to find out more about his point of view, because he really seemed to offer a point of view that I hadn't considered. And since I'm an intellectual, then I wanted to hear more about that. Mind you, previous to that, I think I was dating the other person, or I was definitely interested in someone else when he had messaged me before then. So I didn't take it as he was interested in me prior to the time of me, of him getting my attention. But he says that he was definitely interested in me and that I kind of played him off. I didn't think I did, but that's what he said. So he immediately asked me to go out, and our first date, well, before our first date, he was already like, I want to be with you. And I'm like, how? How do you know? How do you even know? So this, I think, contributed to it. Backstory. So that's how we met. But backstory, I am a teacher and I coach some kids at school. So I'm an English teacher, but I also run like leadership programs at school, and then I also do an empowerment program. So the kids that were in my leadership program, they there was one particular student, and he was like, I'm doing a fast at church, and the other students were believers as well. So I was like, well, we should do it too. And he was like, yeah, okay, yes, let's do it. So it was the Daniel's fast, actually. So he said, remember, you got to write down the things that you're expecting from God. Okay. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to write down the things I'm expecting from God. I do not even remember the other things that were on my list, but a husband made the list. I have never really prayed for a husband before. I've never, like, I've thought about it, but I haven't, like, really. The most serious things was I was praying for areas of my career. That's when I was like really focused on previous to this. So I put down a husband, and it wasn't a big deal because in my mind I'm thinking it's going to be a process, so don't even worry about it. Just just go with it. So I ended up praying about it, putting it on my prayer list, and it was like that next week, if that's when he asked me out on a date. I completely lost interest in the guy that had been playing off and on with me for a few years. And then we went out, and from that first date, we were in an exclusive courtship. I mean, exclusive, I didn't really need to say, but we were in a courtship. This was the first time that I was experiencing an actual courtship, which means, if you don't know what a courtship is, it's not dating. It's dating for the intention or the purpose of marriage. And I'm actually going to wrap up the story and save some of the rest of the story for the next episode or for a future episode, because I really can go on and on about how we got married in less than 6 months. But that's how it started. We immediately from the beginning started our courtship, and I can tell you how we knew and everything like that, but I'm going to save that for another episode. But if you can't wait to hear it, then definitely message me at More and You Coach, or send me an email at moreandyoucoaching@gmail.com, because I think that you guys have enough. The reason why we knew that we were ready for real love, we both had the 3 F's and 3 M's. So I was feminine, he was masculine. So he's opening the doors for me. He's being very decisive on what needs to happen. I am following his lead. He is allowing me to be in that position. He is taking care of things for us, and he's really making decisions. So in the way that he moved, the way that he took care of my feelings, the way that he protected me, he was fully in his masculine energy. I was fully in my feminine energy. The way that I supported him, the way that I encouraged him, the way that I was available to him and made him feel safe to share his heart with me. I was in my feminine energy. I was full of faith at that particular time. And then also, he was motivated. He had a strong why of why he wanted to be in a relationship. and he also had the mindset of a husband. So I didn't even say that before, but I didn't say it that way. But in order for a man to be your husband, he has to have a mindset of a husband. And I had to be willing to focus on him and give him some energy so that he would be motivated to continue to be there for me. So it all kind of worked out. We were both ready for real love, and we were not thirsty. It was like if it came, it came. I know that I did have it on my prayer list, but honestly, I was full of faith at the time, so I was not tripping about when it necessarily it did not have to happen within like a week the way that it did. Like it could have taken a couple years, it could have taken some time, and I was okay with that. But I didn't necessarily feel like it had to be so fast. Like I was totally ready because I did not want to wait an extensive period of time, but a week, I definitely didn't think that that would be the case. So that being said, that is the story about how we met. That's the story about how we knew that we were really ready. And I'm going to share the love lesson next. So stick with me, and I'm going to share the love lesson of what I learned from all of this. You have made it to the last portion of the show. The last portion of the show is the love lesson. So we cannot wrap this up without you getting your love lesson, right? Okay. So, what is the love lesson in all of this? With knowing when you are really ready for real love, the love lesson in all of this, I'm not going to make you wait any longer, is to be honest with yourself about where you truly are. Be honest with yourself. So at the very beginning of my journey, when I had just gone through a divorce, I was not ready, but I didn't want to admit that I was not ready because I wanted to move on. I was so jealous of my ex-husband and him moving on in his relationship. That's me being all the way real, all the way gutter with you. I was jealous, heated. When I tell you, sister girl was mad, oh, I was big mad. I was big mad, not because he left and he was with another woman, but because I ain't have nobody. I was so mad. But if I'm honest with myself, and if I was honest with myself at the time, I would have said, Detra, sis. Because, you know, I'm my best friend and I'm my big sister on the inside. Because I got a big sister and I got a little sister. If you're confused by that, sometimes you have a mature person within yourself, and then you have some outside of you that are a little less mature, and you gotta really talk yourself into what the truth of the matter is. So the immature part of myself, I really should have been like, sis, you are not ready. Sis, your heart has been broken. Sis, you really need to heal. Sis, you need to sit down. Okay? That's what I should have been saying to myself. And I did. I actually wrote, I was double talking though, y'all. I was double talking because I wrote, even while I was married, I wrote articles about loving with a broken heart. I wrote things about how to heal because I have gone through so much with my ex-husband that I really didn't realize that even after the divorce, I didn't really realize how hurt that I was. So I was actually, because I'm such, I had a strong woman syndrome. So I had to, like, I'm strong. I can get through anything. It's all good. I had to, like, my daddy wasn't there for me for most of my life. So the fact that, he left or whatever and he's with another woman, he's doing his thing, this and that, I got it. It's cool. No. I was heartbroken as a little girl because my dad wasn't there. Even though he's there now, God is faithful to answer your prayers and answered your girl's prayers. Even though my father is in my life now, that took a lot of tears and a lot of crying out to God before I even got that relationship with him. And then the same thing when it comes to my ex-husband. I had gone through so much with him and my heart was completely broken. So for me to think that I was ready for a new relationship after experiencing that level of heartbreak, that would have been a little odd for me to really think that. But what I did was I started looking at my friends, and I started, I joined the single club. It wasn't literal, but I joined the single club, and I was hanging out with my friends, and that was a part of what single people do, is we date. And I really, hindsight is 2020. I really I wouldn't say that I wouldn't have dated at all, but I really would not have taken any of the dates seriously. And it would have helped my mindset. It would have helped my heart, because I just kind of went through shenanigans as a result of actually feeling like I might have been ready. I was just not completely honest about where I was at that particular time. And that's dangerous, to not be honest with yourself, to not tell yourself the truth, to not tell yourself that you're truly still healing. I was still interested in guys. I remember there was a particular guy, like highly interested in thinking about. I was really like thinking about getting married in my mind. I would never tell a guy that, but there was a couple of them. I was like, oh, I could be married to him and this and that. And my mindset should not have been on marriage back then. There was one guy in particular. I can't even tell you this story. I'm going to have to save it for another podcast, but let me just recap for you. Make sure that you're honest with yourself about where you are, honest with yourself about where you want to go, honest with yourself about where you want your focus to be, honest with yourself about your goals, honest with yourself about the state of your heart, honest with yourself about the state of your mind. You have to be honest with yourself about all of that in order for you to be really ready for true love. And that is how you know that you are ready, when you keep it real with yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly. Thanks for listening. I appreciate every one of you listeners. And if you really like it, feel free to share the podcast. I really enjoyed this particular podcast, so I'm looking forward to your feedback. Thank you for tuning in to another love lesson. I am so happy and so grateful that you have taken the time out of your day to listen to the entire podcast. So I wanted to take some time and just tell you some projects that I'm working on, because I definitely think that if you're interested in this content, you could benefit from the projects that I'm working on. So for one, the Love Lessons series, actually, it came from me just wanting to share my experiences in the dating world as being single, and then it just grew into so much more. And I also wanted to write a book about it. So that is one of the projects that I'm working on. The book actually has changed and evolved into so much more. So it has taken me longer to finish that project, but that is the project that I'm working on. So that's what this Love Lessons series contributes to. And I've also, if you want to see some of my other work with this series and preparing for the book, then you can go to my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel, you can find me under Detra Hester. And if you just type that in, you can find it pretty easily. It's also in my Instagram. I believe that I put that link in my Instagram profile at More and You Coach. And another thing that you might want to check out if you are in that process of transformation, I do have a beauty channel, ladies. So I love trying out new looks. So when I was single, I really was focused on how could I become better? So how could I upgrade myself, my look, and also how can I become more beautiful? And of course, smarter and healthier and all of that too. But I developed a beauty channel. So my beauty channel is D Destiny Beauty. So at D Destiny Beauty on Instagram. And you'll see, I will talk about different makeup brands that I try. And sometimes I'll do a hairstyle, but most of the time it's a lot of different makeup. Lately, it's been a lot of makeup that I've been trying, but in the past, I also share different hairstyles as well, because we can always level up our look. So that might be something that you want to check out. And then also on my Instagram and my YouTube channel, I do a transformation series as well. So I've gone back to focusing more on love lessons, but I do a transformation series. So if you want to check out my transformation series on YouTube, then that is there. And I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you are a woman of faith, or you enjoy beauty tips and you enjoy listening to content about relationships, then you have found your girl. So all that being said, the last but not least, if you have not downloaded your free ebook, that is at morein.you.coaching.com. That one, it really talks about how to just get over it. So it's called There's More in You, but a lot of the material in there just kind of talks about how you can move on. So if you have been in a difficult relationship and you're ready to move on, you're ready to heal, you're ready to grow, then you definitely want to check out that free ebook. Now, after you have checked out all of my content, you know what I'm about, and you say, you know what, I like her and I think she can help me grow in my personal situation. She's been through some stuff that is similar to me, or I just resonate with her message and I think she can really help me to grow. Then you might want to try out one of my coaching programs. So one of my programs, transformation programs, that one, you at least need to give that one 90 days. If you just want some more of a one-on-one coaching, then we definitely would need to have a coaching call, breakthrough session, where we just kind of talk about what's going on with you and where you need to break through. And that session is free. So if you want to do that, and I can tell you what I can offer you. If you're a person that you just want prayer, so you don't necessarily, you're not ready for actual coaching program, but you do want to reach out to me because you do feel like my message resonates with you, I will be happy to pray with you. If you want to actually, for me to send a personalized prayer to you, I will be happy to do that. Just email me at moreanyoucoaching@gmail.com, and I will be happy to respond with a personalized prayer for you, because I know that everybody is not ready for coaching. Coaching is for people that are ready to go from one level to another level. So they're ready to heal, but they're also ready to move into action. And I do have the perfect program for people that are really ready to move into action on some plans that God has for their lives. So that being said, make sure that you reach out to me on my other social media platforms. And if you want to send me a message of how this particular love lesson resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. So like I always end every message is, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've been through, there's still more in you. Thanks again for listening.